Hello everyone, in this video I'll be playing Haper's Defend the Kodos version 0.981 in single player on normal difficulty. So with all that being said, let's get to it. So as I mentioned, we'll be playing on normal difficulty. And there we go, we got a really good hero. So let's just, So the first chunk of the game is to pick a base and run there as quick as possible. I personally recommend this base here. It has a variety of advantages that I am quite a big fan of. Also, once the game begins, type the -I love Kodos command, which will give you access to the one true Kodo, and then send him to the middle spawner, and then take your 2 repairmen that you start with and send them up to the northern spawning portal. Also, whenever your hero's Windwalk ability comes off cooldown, make sure you use it. And I'll also be showing you a trick that makes this more effective. So when you use Windwalk, your hero will become very fast for I believe 8 seconds, but then once it's over, you'll become very slow. But if you press the stop key, you can reset your hero's movement speed and get rid of the penalty debuff. That's a good trick to boost your early game income. Later on, it won't be worthwhile to do this, but for the first like 5-10 minutes, very useful. So just keep an eye out on the Windwalk, and also keep an eye out for whenever you reach 180 gold. So right now, Windwalk. And then you can actually do this whole trick without even looking at your hero if you do it right. All you have to do is wait for your Windwalk to disappear, press S, then click Return Resources, and I just fixed it remotely. Then, once again here, in about like 10 seconds, I'll be creating my first harvester. For that, we do actually need to be looking over here, though. And that's pretty much it. I highly recommend that you put your town halls on control groups so that you don't risk, or so that you can more quickly create harvesters from them whenever you reach 180 gold. And also, use your repairmen to heal the Kodos that are protecting you back up to full health, and that'll buy you additional time before the enemies are able to come attack your base. Let's see. The one true Kodo, by the way, has a healing aura, which pretty much means that he is able to defend himself completely remotely. Yeah, because he also does 20 damage, so basically, with the one true Kodo, you don't have to do any maintenance. He'll just deal with it all himself. Yeah, there's the healing aura in effect, little green. Yeah. So when you pair the one true... Oh, whoops, gotta type -cam again. When you pair the one true Kodo with your repair archers, you'll be able to buy yourself a lot of extra time, which is why I highly recommend that you use this strategy. Because instead of having, like, 2 minutes before the enemies attack your base, you can boost that up to like 5-ish minutes, I'd say. So essentially you have much more time before you have to build base defenses. And since the sooner you get harvesters, you get like a nice snowball harvester effect, it's just significantly more impactful.
We're under attack! Fair enough.
Alright, time for another harvester. And because I have a rally point here, I don't really need to worry about them making it to their destination. And this is the second checkpoint that you can heal these guys with your archers at. Alright. And unfortunately this cooldown is going to miss healing that guy. But we can heal up this Kodo. Alright, and cooldown wise, we're not really going to be able to do that again, so now's a decent time to retreat my archers. I also will be creating one more harvester because I am now food capped, and I recommend that you use your final harvester to gather lumber. So once you get these guys back to your base, that essentially means enemies will be attacking you within like a minute, so that means you need to get some walls up. These walls are really bad, but they are good enough to stop the default footmen pretty much permanently. But once you see the red warning that says Elite Footmen have spawned, that means it's time for you to upgrade the small walls to the regular walls. If you don't do that, the Elite Footmen will destroy your walls in like 3 hits, so basically, if you don't upgrade them, you'll probably lose the walls before you even realize you're being attacked. And once these Kodos die, I'm going to retreat my one true Kodo back to my base so that I can keep him alive.
Orders? Of course. Right.
So probably like
Of course.
3 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. So now's the time to retreat him. And once you retreat the one true Kodo, that's also a good time for you to create your first tower. I recommend building your first tower pretty far back because there are ranged enemies that can hit buildings in this game. So if you place your tower too close to your front walls, like for example, if I place it right here, the enemy could just, a ranged enemy could just shoot it through here, and then I could end up losing my tower. But from this distance, you're safe against the majority of ranged units.
End my torment.
Oh, that's interesting. Usually the upper wall is the first one to be attacked, so when I was hearing that attack sound, I wasn't even really sure where I was getting hit. Okay, so now's a good time to create our upgrade center. The upgrade center has two things that we'll be researching right away: the blink ability for 50 gold, and the advanced warfare ability for 100 gold. Well, actually not an ability. Advanced warfare tech upgrade, I suppose, for 100 gold and 30 wood. And the advanced warfare research will give us two primary unlocks. The big one is that it will make it possible for us to make living town halls. Since I have quite a few units building up here, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my tower to the next level. And I'm also going to upgrade my walls to the next level as well, just because I have a ton of these guys accumulating. Also, once you have blink researched, you can use that as a slight gold delivery time improver. So like if you just keep doing this, your blink will come off cooldown basically by the time you get out of the gold mine. So you can reduce the trip time by like 50%. It's pretty good.
That is your wish.
And then once I reach 800 gold, I'll be creating our first living town hall. So probably a good time to send my hero over here now. And then I'll have her wind walk back over to my gold mine.
On your mark.
So the living town hall will create an health/mana regen aura surrounding it, and it will also increase our food count by 12, so we're now able to create 3 new harvesters. I recommend that you create harvesters at a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 gold harvesters, 1 lumber harvester. And if you do that, that'll keep you at an ideal gold ratio for creating new living town halls as soon as possible. So I'm going to have my tower focus these weaker units first, because I feel like it ends up being slightly more effective that way.
Ready to work.
And soon-ish, not quite yet, because these guys aren't strong enough to get through my wall, I'll be upgrading my tower to the next level.
More gold is required.
There we are. So we're once again food capped, so we'll now start saving for another living town hall, or if it seems like we need it, we'll upgrade to a defense outpost. But before we do either of those things, we'll be researching improved gold harvesting for 100 gold, wood and 50 gold. So improved gold harvesting increases the amount of gold that can be carried per trip by 5, which is essentially, for the first level you get, that's a 50% increased amount of gold carried per trip, which is a really cost-effective upgrade.
I'd go.
We're under attack.
So here are those ranged units that I was talking about. They do 40 damage a hit. So if you do end up placing your tower over here, they'll be able to destroy it in 2 hits, which is pretty problematic.
Say the word. On my way.
Also, those ranged units, if you have a tower or unit try to attack them, they'll immediately go invisible. So that's a good way to kind of stall, I suppose. If you have like 3 of those guys attacking you, you can just focus them with your tower, and then they'll all stop attacking because they go invisible. Oh, I thought that guy was out of range, but I guess I should have realized. So because it died, I'm going to go ahead and create a repair priest. The repair priest is unlocked when you research advanced warfare. Costs 120 gold, and he gets access to the healing wave ability. Healing wave restores 100 damage to the primary target, and restores some health to other targets as well, but a reduced amount. So this is quite useful because we are able to use it essentially as an emergency heal whenever our towers or walls get low on health.
Say the word.
I'm going to go ahead and have my one true Kodo go attack this guy. The objective is to get him in range of the tower.
Your move.
Yes, my
And it was not successful.
On my way.
Alright, but I'm once again no longer food capped, so it's time to create a couple more harvesters. And once you have these harvesters going, that's pretty much the time for you to stop using the faster gold gathering tricks, because the harvesters will end up screwing it up anyway. Also, 5 regular harvesters will fully utilize a gold mine, so if you already have 5 there, put your other harvesters on another gold mine.
Orders. Let me at 'em.
It's pretty annoying placement from these guys, but they should get closer sooner. Yeah, there we go.
Our allied town is being attacked.
And then once they're in range of my defense outpost, they die pretty quick. This is a very cost-effective tower, and is strong enough to kill most of the early game units before they're able to do significant damage to your structures. So that what we're saving up for right now is 200 wood. That'll get us enough resources to create the secret laboratory. The secret laboratory has one big thing that'll unlock for us right now, and that is the upgraded harvester. The upgraded harvester is roughly 40-ish% more effective at gathering gold than the regular harvester. So it's just essentially a really cost-effective upgrade that'll significantly boost your income. So the reason why it's about 40% more effective is that he moves 20% faster than the regular harvester, and he can carry 5 more gold per trip. And then when you run the numbers, it just comes out to roughly 40%.
My hatred.
And yeah, so now that we have another living town hall and we have this building created, it's time to start gradually replacing my regular harvesters with upgraded harvesters. So as I mentioned, 4 upgraded harvesters per gold mine, and yeah.
Yes.
Whenever you reach 40 wood, you're able to, well, 300 gold and 40 wood, but for the most part, wood will be bottlenecking you. So whenever you have 300 gold, 40 wood, that's time for you to create a new upgraded harvester, which means you should kill off a regular harvester to free up some supply. Because I have a hero at this one, I'll only be creating 3 upgraded harvesters at this gold mine, because if we had 4, it would end up having a fair amount of downtime per trip.
Yes. Our town is under attack.
Okay, and within about 1 minute or so, I'll be upgrading my defenses a bit, well, significantly actually, because there will be units that may have spawned already. It's called a knight, or a buffed knight to be specific, and if we don't have upgraded defenses by then, he'll be able to go through our walls pretty quickly. So there he is, he just spawned, so that's time for us to create a barracks. The barracks we'll be creating 2 units from in the early game, and later on we'll be creating a few different ones. But the big 2 units that we'll be starting with are the raider and the hunter. Once again though, this guy costs some wood, so we'll have to wait a little bit. There we are though, our first raider. Raiders are a little bit costly, but they are worth their weight in gold. Anyway, so the raider has 880 health, and he has some armor, which makes him significantly more durable than the walls that we currently have. Additionally, he also has a fair amount of attack damage, but he does have a very slow attack speed, so it's not a ton, but still quite a bit better than a wall. The biggest advantage to the raiders though is that the living town hall is able to quickly restore their health, which makes them extremely effective for base defense. I think I just accidentally messed up one of my town hall waypoints, but maybe not. Oh yeah, there's this one. In that case, it doesn't really matter. But the units that I'll be creating next is, instead of focusing on income, I'm going to be playing it a bit safe, and I'm going to start creating hunters. Hunters are these really vulnerable units that do a fair amount of damage because they have a fast attack speed. So by creating about 5 of them, they'll act as a very powerful alternative to towers. As long as you keep them alive, that is. If you don't put them on hold position, they'll frequently run out of your walls and get themselves killed. So just make sure that once you get them in a decent location, like maybe slightly to the left of where I have them, just plop them on hold position so that they don't kill themselves.
Delicious.
So I just went ahead and used Healing Wave here. Not particularly necessary, but it seemed like a decent time to use it.
More lumber is required. More lumber is required.
Alright, there we go. And in about a minute or so, I'll be creating an additional raider to seal off this side of the wall. Actually, for right now though, I think I might just move this guy over and create a new one to fill that slot. There we are. So my tower is probably going to die within a minute here, but thankfully this cooldown just went off again, so I was able to use my emergency healing wave. There we go. So for right now, I think I'll create 2 more raiders, and then I'll switch back to creating more hunters. This is also the... oh, looks like I forgot to put one of these guys on hold position. This was kind of the first mini-boss of the game. His name is the Mountain Kind, and if you don't have raiders by this point, you're definitely going to lose your defenses, so just make sure, just make sure you kind of have a fair amount of units to protect you by this point. Probably going... I think this is enough to fully seal off my entrance for right now, so I'm going to create 1 or 2 more raiders and then switch back over to upgraded harvesters. Usually 5 is the amount I like to go for, and then I get the damage for all your troops, because then you're getting 50 extra damage for 30 gold and 10 wood, which is very efficient for a cost to damage ratio. Next one's slightly less efficient, but still worthwhile. So 6 of these guys is probably enough for right now. So it doesn't look like the units are doing much damage to any of my raiders, so I'm going to go ahead and create some new upgraded harvesters. What I just did there was I used the blue Kodo that was in my base and redeemed some of my free Shimmerweed. Shimmerweed gives you 1 strength per Shimmerweed available, so it's not a very big deal because in this game strength only gives you 1 health, but because it's there, I figured might as well. Okay. So because I have a fair amount of gold built up, I'm going to convert some of my gold into wood. It's at a very ineffective cost ratio, but it's still worthwhile to do. Looks like I should get 1 more bundle of lumber. Alright. So what I just did there was I gave my hero a significant health boost, so instead of having like 50 HP, I now have 160, which means most of these guys won't be able to one-shot my hero anymore. And I also significantly boosted my hero's damage, so that she's able to take out enemies. Alright, so let's get rid of this item and replace it with the reward glyph. Then I'm going to blink my hero back into my base. Alternatively, you can use the teleport to allied building one. It's about the same amount of time to get here, so meh. Okay. So it looks like base defense is going pretty well. I'm going to move these guys farther to the left so that they're able to hit my attackers. And now let's finish up replacing these guys. Alright, so that should be all of the upgraded all the harvesters right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and replace my wood gathering harvesters. And then we will be food capped. Unfortunately, you can't go above 50 food in this game, so this is the hard limit. And alright, so looks like things are going pretty well right now. So I'm going to start getting some melee improved defense upgrades. This is going to increase the health of my raiders by 35%. And the objective that we're trying to reach right now is 5 levels of melee improved defense, because once you reach 5 levels, you get access to the hardened skin ability, which reduces incoming damage by 100 to a minimum of 10. And once you've done that, the attacking units that are currently available will all be reduced to 10 damage. So this guy would deal 10, this guy would deal 10, and so on. So basically these guys become practically invulnerable once you get that upgrade. Also, some of the items that I picked up from the first boss, most of these aren't very important, but we have the reward glyph, which is 25 attack damage and health. the Ring of Protection, which is 3 armor, the Branch of Yore, which gives us 20 damage and 10 to all stats, which effectively means 30 damage and 10 health, which is pretty good. And the Helm of Valor, which is pretty bad, gives us 4 strength and 4 agility, which is effectively 4 health, 4 damage. So definitely the worst of the items we picked up. And most importantly, we picked up an Ankh. We could also buy an Ankh here for 100 gold and 100 wood, and that would be a 3-charge Ankh. But for right now, because I was low on wood at the time, I had just opted to go for the free Ankh that dropped. I'm going to go ahead and create 2 more raiders here, because 1x1 units have spawned, which means we need to seal off these gaps, or else 1x1 units will run in and kill my hunters. Alright, I think that's relatively sealed. Okay. Looks like my first gold mine has been drained, so I'm going to go ahead and reallocate my upgraded harvesters to gather wood, and this one will probably run out within the next minute or 2. The next upgrade that I just got is improved lumber and gold harvesting. That will increase the amount of wood and gold they can hold by another 5, which takes them up to 25 gold per trip, so they're getting pretty efficient at this point. Alright, based on my current resource amounts, I think I'm going to go and convert some gold into wood.
Will this ever end?
Alright, that looks like a pretty good amount. We were trying to aim for 700 wood there so that I could research the Advanced Warfare upgrade. Advanced Warfare, it costs 2200 gold and 700 wood, and it gives us access to the final level of, well, essentially Advanced Warfare unlocks every other upgrade in the game. So, pretty important one to get, and I like to get it before I depart because that will unlock further levels of melee improved defense, which is the main reason why I like to get it. I'm also going to create 2 more raiders, and then I'm going to save up the rest of my resources to... actually, I'll also get 2 hunters to protect my northern border from flying units. But aside from that, I'm going to be saving the rest of my resources to create, or to research more levels of melee defense. Okay, so I'm going to reallocate these guys into wood gathering. And probably within 2-ish minutes, I will be departing for my next expansion, which will be this base right here. I'm also going to create a troll medic, because he'll be quite valuable for the trip, because he'll be able to heal our raiders while we're there. Also, feel free to use your hero to kill enemy units. Your hero will be doing a ton of damage if you've upgraded it like I have so far, so it's just a great way to kill enemies quickly. I'll also be replacing some items that I picked up with some of these items on the ground that are a bit better than what I currently have. So I'll be replacing that Helm of Valor with a reward glyph, and that's going to be it. Okay, so the next structure that I'll be building is the Natural Shop. We're building this only because it gives us access to the mana training upgrade. There's actually nothing in this shop that we want. It does have Ankhs available, but it's only a single charge, so kind of pointless. Alright, pretty much once we get another 100 or 180 wood here, we'll be departing for the expansion. So, probably another 20 seconds or so. Ah, there we are. So now that we've reached that amount, I'm going to have these guys return all their wood, and we're going to depart for this base. If possible, you want to avoid losing any of these guys, because they're fairly expensive, and that's the main reason.
I hear you, man.
There we are. So it looks like a successful unit relocation, which is excellent. And now I'm going to place a town hall here and a town hall here and allocate these guys to start gathering gold.
What do you want? Huh? Yes.
Since we only have 11, one of our gold mines won't be fully utilized, and that's okay because we'll be able to use our hero to gather gold from that mine. For right now, though, we'll just go ahead and use our hero to kill these units that are building up in Kodos town.
If that is your wish.
Here we go, that's this boss dead. Also, if possible, you want to try to get the last hit on each boss because they provide a fair amount of gold, actually.
I go. If I must.
Also, because we have the hardened skin upgrade, these guys are now doing 10 damage, which essentially means they are doing 0. Well, it means they're doing 10, but because these guys regenerate more than 10 health per second, it's kind of like doing 0. So next up is going to be improved golden lumber harvesting, and that's it for all the upgrades that are pretty necessary at this point. So from here on out, it's just kind of be getting upgrades as we feel we need them, so I'm going to be going for more hero damage. Going to put in a couple more of my hero points from levels. Because I'm playing in single player, I'm getting a significant amount of extra EXP, because all the EXP goes to me. Because in this game, hero EXP is evenly divided between all players, but since I'm the only player, I get 100% of it, which means I level up very fast. Once we reach the end of the game, I should be roughly level 80, just to kind of put that in perspective. And if you're playing multiplayer, well, then it's evenly divided, so you'd probably be level 40, just kind of to put that in perspective. Let's get a few more levels of hero damage, and then one more level of hero health. I'm going to teleport my hero up here. So my hero is now dealing 2,000 damage roughly. It's this hero is fantastic for attacking enemy units because she has the highest attack range for heroes in the game, and her True Shot aura increases your hero's base damage. And since the damage upgrades that we've been researching are base damage, this is effectively 70% of 1200 roughly, so we're up to 2000 damage, whereas if you were any other hero you wouldn't have this passive, so you'd only have 1100 damage right now. So basically this hero is just great for DPS. This guy deals 300, but thanks to the troll medic he's not really an issue either. Base defense looks like it's going pretty well. What I just researched was mana training. We'll be researching 10 levels of mana training and 10 levels of support training to get access to the resurrection ability. This will be our next project for the next like 5-10 minutes. Resurrection is really useful because it can resurrect any dead harvesters. So if you end up losing any by accident, which frequently happens, that will save you a ton of gold. Let's start the... Actually, before I do that though, I'm going to research another 2 levels of melee defense so that these guys get access to reincarnation. There we go. Now the rest of our resources for a little while will be going to the support guys.
Will this ever end? Embrace the end.
Okay. And let's see how these are... Looks like base defense still going pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and place another sentry ward over here, which will give us a fair amount of vision of the surrounding region. And let's get my hero back to gathering gold, because we don't really need her anywhere else right now. Looks like my one true Kodos is probably going to die pretty soon. Once he dies, we'll replace him with a troll medic.
We're under attack.
I hear my torment. If that is your wish.
Alright. Another level of mana training, another level of support.
My bow is ready.
Research complete.
Also, just one thing to keep in mind, raiders aren't able to attack air units, so if there are a lot of air units building up, you'll need to use your hero to go kill them.
I will aid you. Will this ever end?
Ranged rangers are coming. I'm actually not sure what unit that's referring to. Kodo hunters, maybe? Alright. Another level of mana training, another level of support defense, or support units. The reason I decided to head back down to Kodo Town is so that I could convert my resources faster. Because here there's 4 shops in a small vicinity, which makes it quite a bit faster. So I'm gonna get 5 levels of Kodo defense for my Kodo King right here, and then I'm going to max out these upgrades for my hero. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I've maxed out hero attack speed and damage, so this is pretty great. And with the few additional levels of Kodo Prince health, I don't really have to worry about him dying accidentally. So let's go ahead and max out defense and then head back up to help these guys. So the Necromancer is a pretty annoying guy to deal with because the units that he resurrects are invulnerable, so unfortunately you just need to have units that can tank or else he'll be quite a problem. But with that being said, the actual risk here is still fairly low just because the raiders are so durable. Also, the one true Kodo died, so I went ahead and replaced him with a medic as I mentioned I would do earlier. Alright, so my next sentry ward placement is going to be right up here. This one isn't actually for the vision it provides, well, it is for the vision it provides, but specifically we're just placing this one so that we can put a sentinel on this tree. I like having a sentinel on this tree because it gives you vision of all of this region, which is pretty useful in my opinion for attacking those units later in the game. Plus sentinels last forever, so you only have to do that once. Alright, looks like my hero is going to be teleported. Let's get another 2 levels of hero health, and then let's max out the Kodo health upgrades that are currently available. There we go. Looks like I need some more lumber. Alright, the health regen upgrades can wait a while. Those aren't urgent. And now that my hero has so many upgrades, I'll be able to just absolutely roast this boss. And there he goes. I'm going to replace the Ring of Protection with the Crown of Strength that this boss drops. The main reason we're doing that is just because we have quite a bit of armor now, and the Crown of Strength gives the Stomp ability, which can occasionally be useful if you have like 10 units built up and you want to stun them all.
Master?
So what I just went ahead and did here was reallocate one upgraded harvester from this gold mine to this one, so that the gold mines will roughly run out of gold at the same time. Alright, let's continue upgrading the support unit and mana upgrades.
You seek me help?
Level 5 of each, it looks like.
What will be craven?
Now that they're both level 5, I think that's what the requirement was, but I didn't actually check. We get access to the healing spray ability. It's pretty good. It sends 2 waves of 1000 health restoration. So I usually use this to keep my hero alive if she's taking significant amounts of damage, because unfortunately lifesteal in this game costs a ton of money, so we usually don't end up picking up any. Because the only lifesteal item that I remember, well, this is 3%, which is just pathetic. The only decent lifesteal item is this one, which costs 10,000 wood and 9,000, or 10,000 gold and 9,000 wood, and yeah, it's just super costly. But it is something to consider, just because once you have lifesteal, your hero is almost invulnerable because you're doing so much damage. Like 10% of this, what would that be? So I'm dealing I think it was 2.7,000 damage, so 10% would be 270 per hit. Yes, you'd be able to pretty easily out heal these guys, but yeah. I went ahead and moved my troll medic down from here to here because this guy was getting low on health. If he died, it wouldn't have actually been that bad for us because he'd resurrect, but the main issue is then he'd probably get up to the upgraded harvesters, which would cause a small problem. Looks like my repairman died, so now my living town hall is taking quite a bit of damage, so I'm going to repair it with my hero. And I'm also going to put this guy on attack move so that he can kill these units. Ordinarily I'd leave him on hold position, but for right now it seems okay. I'm going to focus the Necromancer so that he can't revive any more units, and the rest of the ordering doesn't really matter when I kill these guys.
Will this ever end?
There we are. Go ahead and get some more wood here. I think that gold mine is low, so I'll need to expand to this base pretty soon.
Will this ever end?
How may I say?
So I'm just gonna put that guy on hold position and move my medic down here. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I need to teleport my hero up here right now. And my hero just got stunned.
If I
You
must.
seek me help? Very good choice, man. Passing on.
Thankfully, my hero made it at the nick of time. If not, I could have ended up losing the troll medic, which would have been quite a little bit of a hassle.
Our gold mine is
First gold mine's out. Going to reallocate the harvesters to these two to slightly increase the rate of gold gathering. And then pick up the gold coins that the mines drop.
under attack.
Now is also a good time to get a new sentry placed because it looks like my current one expired.
If I must.
Got a flyer sneaking through here.
That is your wish.
Be happy.
Direct my hatred.
So I'm going to put these on control groups. Control 3, control 2.
I will aid you.
Our gold mine has
Okay, that's another gold mine down. So now that I've lost most of the gold mines, I'm going to create 5 more raiders, and then we'll be expanding to the next base, along with an additional troll medic.
Someone called it under attack.
So send these guys up here. And it looks like I need to use my hero to kill some of these Illidan's that are building up. Yeah, Illidan's have a very annoying ability. They can activate a illusion, essentially, which masks their hero in the crowd. So it can take quite a few tries to get them if you're not lucky.
That is your wish.
There we go. Illidan's also drop 5 agility tomes, so make sure you pick those up to get a little bit of extra damage.
If I must.
And it looks like it's now time to migrate all of my units. So once I kill this Illidan, we'll be moving out.
Yes.
And while these guys walk over, I'm just going to pick up the rest of the coins here real quick.
If that is your wish.
Our town is
Alright, so the layout here is pretty simple. Just make 2 more town halls. The left one will manage both.
double.
Looks like a plant dropped here. It's a little annoying. So let's get 4 guys here, and then
Always ready.
there we go.
Yes. We're complete. What you want? We're under attack. Yes. What you want?
Alright, so now the northern base is being fully utilized. Put 2 raiders on the bottom right entrance on hold position, and then put the other 5 over here on hold position as well.
You seek me help?
And I also highly recommend moving 1 raider to the left of the gold mines, so that if flying units come, he'll end up taking the hits instead of the harvesters. Alright, so now's a good time to finish up these Kodo region upgrades, and I'm also going to get a few more hero health upgrades.
Will this ever end?
There we go. I'm just gonna get 2 more of these. You can actually get quite a few more than that, but I find 1,000 health is usually a decent stopping point. What I'm gonna do here is blink in, activate War Stomp, and then kill the boss.
Let Phantom Arrows fly.
Pretty easy boss. He also drops a handful of items that are better than what we currently have, so we're gonna be replacing some of these.
Our allied town.
So let's get a hard bone, then I'm gonna sell the reward glyphs,
Will this ever
my
end?
Ankh, and pick up the Crown of Attack and Medallion of Defense, and then buy a new Ankh that has 3 charges. And I'm also going to refuel on wood. We're trying to get up to 7,000 wood right now, and also just don't forget to keep
Beware.
upgrading support units. We're going for 7,000 wood so that we can buy 2 3,500 wood items.
Always ready. If I must.
Here we are. So it looks like just 1 more stack of these should do it.
Wish.
We're under attack.
Let the living beware.
Yep, you'll notice based on that ping, my harvesters would have been intact if I hadn't put this guy on hold position, which is why I highly advise getting him up there. And it looks like my hunters need to be healed. I'm also going to, yeah, so let's sell the Crown of Attack here, replace it with the Shaman Claws, and then I will also sell the Medallion of Defense for more Shaman Claws, and we're going to teleport up here to help my base.
We're under attack.
Alright, so let's blink in, activate War Stomp, kill this guy first, then kill the rest. Alright, looking pretty good. I think one of these guys may have died twice, so I am slightly low on raiders right now, which is a little unfortunate. And unfortunately, raiders don't leave a corpse, so you can't revive them when they die.
Will this ever end?
Go ahead and get some more wood here.
If I must.
We're under
If that is your wish.
Yeah, my base is doing fine. So let's go ahead and get the next couple levels of melee improved defense. That'll get my units access to Avatar, and the final 2 levels are just regular stat buffs. We don't get any new abilities.
I will aid you.
Research.
If I must. If that is your wish. Go on death.
Yeah, and the reason why I purchased Shaman Claws specifically is they give 750 damage, which is a fairly large amount, but they also give a 20% chance to deal double damage, which is where the real like strength of the item lies, because it just ends up double dipping and you get just a ton of damage.
You're the lucky one.
Looks like I got a few tomes here to pick up. Not really going to bother picking up the intelligence tomes because we don't really use any. Yeah, you know what? I mean, there's just so many. I guess I will pick some up. Intelligence is actually the one stat in this game that's actually pretty efficient. I think 1 intelligence is 10 mana, so you can get a ton of mana with very few intelligence tomes.
We're under
If that is your wish.
So I'm going to go ahead and create a couple more raiders here just to send up to my expansion.
Let the living beware. I go. If I must.
We're under attack.
My bow is ready.
Okay, I'm going to TP back up here. And these guys can protect this border. And melee defenses are now maxed, so these guys have pretty close to 4,000 health. Just for satisfaction here, I'll research these plus 10 melee or plus 10 all unit health upgrades to get a nice even number. Oh, what? Didn't they have? That's weird. Oh, the first one gives 5. Well, not quite as satisfying as I hoped. But now we have slightly over 4,000 life.
If I must.
Okay.
I go.
Soonish here, I'll probably replace these with more Shaman Claws, but not really too much of a rush on that because we have so much overkill damage right now. Well, not really overkill per se, but we just kill the units quickly.
If that is your wish.
Alright, let's reallocate one guy from this gold mine to this one.
End my torment.
Also going to go ahead and get another sentinel right here.
If that is your wish.
Kind of spreading that permanent vision radius outside of my base. Okay, so my raider is going to need help to protect against this guy. Actually, well, just barely. He's taking like 30 damage a second. Not much.
If that is your wish. If I must.
So this is going to be the next tier of unit. This is the Exquisite Lord. He is able to kill you pretty quickly, so make sure that you don't tank too much damage from him. But thankfully, you can kill him quickly as well. And Liches are also a new unit. They give 200 gold per kill, so very valuable to kill. And Blue Dragon Whelps are the new helicopters.
Is your wish.
Alright, so now that I'm level 36, my hero is out of new abilities to get. So I have, here's what all of them look like at max level. Life Siphon, 2,500 hit points per second. While it is quite a bit, your hero is going to do much more damage with just regular attacks. True Shot Aura, 70% bonus damage, which is fantastic. And then lastly, we have Slow Poison, which has pretty bad DPS, but it has a great movement speed slow, which is a really useful defense mechanic. So the trick to defeating the boss that we're about to fight, he's an Illidan. So what we'll do is we'll blink on top of him, activate, whoops, I was too late. But the trick is blink on top of him, activate the Crown of Strength, and then yeah, that's the trick. Let's get the Kodo here, a couple more defense upgrades because he's getting slightly low. I'm also going to restore my hero's health. Well, that didn't end up working. But I was going to restore it using the Life Siphon ability. So you can tell if you're hitting the real Illidan based on how many hits he can take. I find even knowing that, though, it's really hard to find the real one. It's pretty much just luck of the draw from what I can tell. Alright, let's see this guy. Don't think that's the real one. That's not the real one. Looks like I did do some damage to him, or at least someone did. There we go, finally dead. This boss also gives you a fair amount of gold and wood, so that's pretty nice. But the big thing that he gives that will give you a ton of resources is he drops a Skull of Stats, which can be sold for 3,000 gold, roughly. And with that, we're going to convert all of this wood into 2 more Shaman Claws. Then we need to go and protect my, well, not really, well, I guess, yeah, slightly protect my northern base. Oh, this is bad. Looks like I need to protect my main base as well. I'm just going to TP here to save a little bit of time. You know what probably happened? The troll medic probably died, and then the units just weren't able to defend. Alright, so let's create a few more raiders here, and 1 troll medic. And 10 should do the trick. Looks like my main base is gonna, or my expansion might need some help pretty soon here as well. I think what the problem might be is I think these troll medics are too far back. Alright, so let's kill this little mini boss dude, and then go and help my expansion. Alright, so it looks like my gold mines are out, so I do want to expand out of that base shortly. And let's see what my hero can do here. Let's activate Avatar to make these guys immune. Yeah, these liches have a really annoying sleep ability, but unfortunately there's not really anything we can do to counter it. I'm just going to put these guys on attack move. Hopefully it can draw the sleep. And then once we push these guys back a little bit, we're going to expand to the... Shit, my harvesters might have died. Yeah. That's a really weird one to die. Like, it's not even close to the wall. Alright, since the expansion was successful, I'm going to move some of these harvesters out to gather resources. It might have been a second too soon. Need to kill these guys first. There we go. So we're going to set up a new mining base right here. And we're also going to move some raiders up to protect these entrances. So I recommend having 4 raiders here, and have these guys start gathering. And 2 raiders here, and that'll protect you from most of the units in this region. And then the last 3 guys, you can defend as well, by just moving this raider.
Don't worry. Be happy.
Alright, before we're able to safely mine from here, we need to kill this guy. There we go, and then we'll move these guys. Pretty soon here I need to go help my heroes out again, or my raiders, with my hero.
Will this ever end?
There we are. And you know, I think once again the problem may just be troll medic issue.
Will this ever end?
Alright, let's keep these guys closer to the troll medic, keep them alive. Back up my hero a little bit, create some taunt guys. Now let's see where my troll medic is right now. Here he is. And let's use his AoE heal. Yeah, unfortunately, all these extra raiders that we've had to build are costing me quite a bit of money. Yeah. So the big unit that's going to be a problem up here is the Hydra. The Hydra itself is actually really weak, but when he dies, he summons really powerful parasites that are going to destroy my whole northern expansion. Thankfully, doesn't matter too much. Because by the time that Hydra's dead, it'll be the end phase of the game anyway. Alrighty here. Let's get this troll medic in position. And I think I accidentally took the raider from over here. So let's yeah, leave my hero up here again. Get my troll medic a little bit closer to the units. Take out some of these guys. Looks like a whelp killed most of my killed my town hall there.
Yes. Can't build there. What you want?
There we go.
Direct my hatred.
These guys back on hold position.
You seek me help?
And so what I'm going to get next is a new tank, since my current one is running low on charges. Oh, whoops. Accidentally bought gold a couple times and wasted some money. Thankfully, the Kodos Prince is very durable thanks to all the upgrades I've gotten him. Let me go ahead and summon a couple of these guys here. And then the Kodos Prince will thankfully tank the damage from the Infernal for us. Now that the Infernal's dead, we can go ahead and pick up the item that he dropped and sell that in a minute. And in about 2 minutes, we'll be creating some new units and sacrificing all of our harvesters. Alright, so now's a decent time to activate this to free up an item slot. And now let's pick up this Moonstone and go ahead and sell it. And the final item that we'll be purchasing for right now is the demonic figurine. And we do need some more wood to create those units that I was talking about. I think, let's see here. I think we need like 5,000 should be enough. Let's move my hero back over here. Also, there is a trick that you can do that I'll be showing off in a little bit. You can actually go over the food supply limit by utilizing the resurrection. Because we, however, unfortunately, when you go over the limit, you end up going into medium upkeep, which reduces the amount of gold you get per trip, but it still drains gold mines at a rate of 30 per. So I personally don't recommend it, because you're actually losing money on high upkeep, and on medium upkeep, it's just the profitability is so small that I don't really recommend even putting in the effort. Alright, so let's go ahead and start to create those units I was talking about. We're going to be creating buffed pigs. And the buffed pigs cost 2,500 a pop, and the plan is to create 6 of them. So we're about halfway there. 2 more. And once my final couple of harvesters die, we'll be able to get to 6. And then now we will be using the food trick to get 12 troll medics as well. And any additional resources can be used to create more raiders if we want to. So let's see here, we have 3 troll medics. Okay, it's not a ton, but it is actually enough. So while my hero is fighting this dragon, it's important to make sure you heal her back up with the troll medics. As long as you do that, your hero will be fine. There we are. The dragon is dead. Looks like my units might need a little bit of help here, but I honestly can't tell who's taking the damage. Alright, so let's create a few more troll medics. And as I said here, the objective is to get to 12. So right now we have, we need to create 5 more, which means we want to kill 5 of the witch doctors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, actually, you know what? Numerically, no, we'll be fine. Oh, whoops, I did that wrong. Eh, whatever, that's okay. That should do the trick. So now we'll go ahead and create 5 more. Assuming I didn't mess this up, which if I did, honestly, it's not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and resurrect them. Yeah, I accidentally made one too many. We should have 60 food, but we actually have 62. So what we need to do right now is just take out all these guys that are clumping up here, and then move my army within about a minute to go help the Kodo King. I'm going to put these guys on attack move real quick to speed up the process here. Yeah, the big thing here we're dealing with is just the really annoying Lich sleep ability. It's just so often. Alright, unfortunately we have no more time, so we need to retreat my army. We're going to be sending half the army over to the north and half the army to the left. And it should be, I think I got all the guys. Yep. So this will be plenty of units to deal with this wave, and this should be enough to safely hold off the left. Just going to put them on hold position. Put these guys a little bit higher, and I'm also going to place a sentinel up here. Oh, never mind. Okay. Most of these bosses are just going to absolutely roast them. The only one that's going to do a little bit of damage to you is the Hydra and the Lizard. But as long as you place your troll medics correctly, you'll be fine. Alright, there we go. That's the Lizard boss down. The real, as I mentioned here, the real damaging unit is going to be the Hydra. Let's see if we can get the Eldin. There we go. And lastly, just got to get all of these healing auras next to the units taking damage from the Hydra. And there we are. Pretty great fight there. So I'm going to go ahead and sell some of these items that have dropped. Well, specifically just 2 of them. I'm going to be selling the Moonstone and the Skull again. Okay, so let's drop a Shaman one, pick up the Moonstone. And where is the Skull? Which might be this one. Yep, there it is. You drop that down here, and go ahead and sell these 2.
Will this ever end?
We're under attack!
If that is your wish.
Alright, so I'm going to go help defend the left border. In about a minute, we'll be dealing with our next boss fight. It is a tricky one. Yeah, the next boss fight, the reason why it ends up being pretty tricky is that frequently the boss will just end up one-shotting all your units if you don't play it carefully. So I'm going to go ahead and move my buffed pigs up here, but I will leave one behind. I haven't killed quite as many units on the left as I'd like to, but oh well. So let's just leave these 2 guys over here, and I have about 10 seconds before the next boss fight. Alright, so I can't really stall any longer. I'm not really at risk of the left breaking through, so let me just go ahead and pick up a new Ankh and then rush up to the top. So if we do this correctly, we'll want all my troll medics pretty much as close as possible, but I will leave one behind in case they die. So the trick to dealing with this boss is to use the demonic figurine that we created and constantly spam the taunt ability. Also make sure your medics are close enough to actively heal your units. Alright, let me get this guy clicked again. Also, if possible, focus the eggs that drop when you kill the phoenixes. It's really hard to see them though, so if you miss them, I mean, not too much you can do. Like, I can't even hit this. Alright, I can't hit that one. Just, yeah, keep using that taunt ability on the demon Kodo. And that's the trick to this boss fight. As long as you keep spamming it, your hero will be a-okay. Alright, that's the tank down. And the final boss fight, believe it or not, is actually easier than the tank. If you pass the tank, you'll easily pass the final boss. Alright, so this is pretty much smooth sailing from here. So what I'm actually going to do is sell my Demon Kodo back to the shop, because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And we have about 2 minutes before the final boss comes, and that will give us enough time to kill all the units on the left. Oh, it looks like my medic must have died. Actually, it looks like quite a few of my medics died. Let me go and try to revive some of them. Alright, just activate my resurrection here. And then the one over here died, so let me resurrect. And now we're back up. So for right now, I'll just move these guys to the left, purchase another 2,000 wood, top off my Anks just in case. And the last item we'll be buying is called Pure Transcendence. Pure Transcendence is going to give us 2,000 damage, 5,000 health, and another 500 damage because it gives us 500 to all stats. This item is actually not required, but it does make it slightly more convenient for dealing with some of these enemies. Alright, and we got, it looks like we should be about a minute ahead of time here. Looking good. Alright, so let's, so the trick for the final boss is to prepare your units in the proper positions. So let me get a little bit more wood. Max out my Kodo upgrades, keep them as safe as possible. And then we will also be creating a few of the trainable units from here. I'm not going to create any hunters because they can take up the resurrection pool, so I'm just going to leave them as is. So ideally you want about 2 Kodos at each spot because there'll be 3 bosses that spawn. And as long as you have roughly this layout, you should be fine. You want a couple of medics at each to keep your guys alive, and aside from that, that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do here real quick, if I'm fast enough, is create a few additional troops.
Work complete. Work complete.
Alright, so let's get my hero over here, and we'll start spamming raiders. I'm also going to put up a sentry ward up here so that we can see incoming units that are approaching. Alright, that looks like a pretty good amount. So let's do a few of the raiders over here. I think we might want another troll medic over here. And that should be pretty much it. Maybe one more medic on this side. And that's going to get us to the final boss.
For the tribes.
Alright, so the final boss is the Human Prince, which we'll be seeing in about 2 seconds. Here he is. I am the...
Your anger will master you.
There he is. And he, despite what it looks like, he actually ends up teleporting straight onto the Kodo King, which is why it's important to place your units beforehand. I also recommend activating your avatar so that you don't end up accidentally losing some units. Alright, so that's the left boss down. I'm going to pick up the little couple of items that he dropped. I'm going to go help out my units with the right boss. And 2 additional bosses will come, but they aren't a big deal. And just remember here, the objective is to keep your hero, the Kodo Prince, and your troll medics alive. As long as you do those 3 things, you'll be able to win the game. So let me just reposition my units here. Next boss, Illidan. He dies pretty quick. And if you're lucky and get him pick the real one first try, you'll just absolutely roast him. Alright, that's Illidan. Looks like a couple of my troll medics died, so I'm going to go ahead and revive them. Looks like all of my buff pigs are surviving, which is fantastic. And just pretty much whenever you feel like you need to, just go ahead and use your resurrection ability to bring your medics back to life. The next boss is going to be the Infernal. We'll be able to see him approaching shortly. I guess I'll make a couple more raiders here. And basically, as long as you see your supplies at 62, that means you're capped. Alright, here comes the Infernal. So the trick with the Infernal, pretty much just have a unit tank, and then have your hero kill him. It's pretty easy. And Infernal is going to be the last extra boss of the game. So from here on out, it's just our hero killing the human prince pretty easily. I'm just going to clump up all my medics here and then move 2 of them to the north so that they have a good spread. And that's pretty much it. The human prince can't really do much from this point. His DPS is actually pretty terrible. Because when you turns out when you have 12 troll medics, you're easily able to out-regen him. In a moment here, he's going to activate exclamation point mode, but our medics were just going to out-heal that. Looks like 2 of my one troll medic ended up dying. You gotta make sure you keep the troll medics together here because their healing aura stacks, and if they're too spread out, you won't actually have enough healing. But as long as they're all together, you'll see that none of your units are even taking damage, and that's gonna be it. The boss will be dead in like 5 seconds, and there it is. So that's defeating, so I just won Defend the Kodos normal mode on single player pretty easily, actually. At note, we didn't really get close to losing the game at any point. A couple of times I had to use my hero to protect my base, but that was about as dangerous as it got. Personally, I highly recommend that if you are going for this strategy, you repick for the Dark Ranger or the Troll Trapper. If you don't have either of those 2 heroes, I'd actually recommend restarting the game, because the rest of the heroes make it much harder to win with because they're either melee or very low range, and having that high attack range, as you probably noticed throughout the game, is a very good safety feature. So I guess the map will probably end in like a minute here, so I'll just show off a couple of things. So up here, this is actually a region accessible at any point of the game. This is the human territory, I suppose you could call it. Basically all the bosses that you see in the game are just standing here. So like that silencer unit that we killed near the end is standing right here. Super Illidan is right here. And if you really wanted to, you could actually go in here early and kill these guys and pick up some valuable items. Of course, you need a ton of DPS to do so, so that's not very realistic. But it's something that could be a fun thing to try in a future video. And I guess I'll just show off one last thing before I wrap this up, if I can get my hero through here.
Will this ever end?
Actually, I guess because I have all vision, I didn't even really need to bother. But amusingly, there's one vendor up here, and he's basically he only has 3 items for some reason, but the one unique thing about him is I think this is the only other place on the map where you can buy 3 charge inks. But that's basically all that's special about this guy. Also tomes here that give you 1 of each stat, and there is a gold mine here with 50,000 gold, so I guess if you could mine that if you really wanted. And yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it. So I hope this helps you guys defend the Kodos. This strategy is definitely usable in multiplayer. I've tested it out a few times. Works pretty much just as effectively as it does in single player. The next video that I have on this game will probably be me beating this on Madness mode. I personally haven't tried Madness mode yet, but I'm suspecting that will probably not be beatable solo, so odds are when I release a video on that, it's probably going to be me with a few people teaming up. So yeah, that's it for this video guys, and I'll see you in the next one.